What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kelvin's Garage. We have a very special episode for you. Today, we're going to change out the spark plugs on the 1992 Toyota pickup Hilux. All right, this job is extremely easy. All you really need is a ratchet, okay, and an extension, and a deep socket for spark plugs. 13/16 of an inch, okay? It's got that little gasket on the inside to help you grab onto the spark plug. And you need the spark plugs, okay? These are the standard NGK, okay? BPR5ES, stock number 7734 for the 1992 Toyota pickup 22RE 4-cylinder. Now, if you take a look here, they come in a box of 4, okay? Bought them on Rock Auto. And if you look carefully, it even gives you installation instructions. All right, so it shows you right here how to install these spark plugs. It says, turn until the gasket makes contact with the engine head, okay? And then here's the tightening torque. Okay, it says 25 to 30 Newton meters, okay? Now you can use that tightening torque, or you can just tighten it by angle, okay? Because this is a brand new spark plug. So if you just seat it properly and you turn the angle here about 1/2 to 2/3, okay, a turn, okay, for the new gasket, okay, then it will be perfectly tight to spec. All right, so here's the spark plug here. Okay, remember it has a little protection cover here. So don't touch the electrode, okay? But there it is, a brand new NGK spark plug. Now these have already a preset gap on the electrode, so you don't need to mess with that, okay? Just don't touch it and keep it clean. All right, removal and installation are fairly straightforward, okay? This is our 22RE. You can see it uses 4 spark plugs, okay? Here's the distributor cap, and coming off of those are the 4 ignition wires that go to each spark plug. Okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and here's 4, okay? So just one by one, take off the appropriate ignition cable, okay, like so, okay? And you can see the spark plug right in there, okay? So we'll just take our ratchet, okay, with the 13/16 inch socket, okay, and we'll just put it over there. All right, and we'll just turn counterclockwise. Okay, just like that, okay? See how easy it is? All right, and then if you need to, by hand, you can just take off the ratchet part and just grab the socket, and by hand just unscrew the spark plug. All right, so I just fished it out, and here it is. Here's the spark plug, okay? They're not too bad looking, but we're gonna replace them anyway. All right, just pop it out. I recommend to take the new spark plug here, insert it into the socket first, so that the socket kind of holds onto the spark plug like so, okay? All right, and following the directions, we're going to hand seat it into the cylinder head. Okay, now taking the spark plug here, I'm gonna hand seat it into the cylinder head. Be careful not to bang around the tip of the spark plug. Okay, but we're just gonna get it in there. And the reason why you do it by hand is because you don't want it to catch or cross thread, all right? And usually you have a better feel for it with your hands when you screw things in. So we're just gonna, by hand, screw it in. Make sure that washer on the spark plug is seated against the head. All right, let's see here if I can get in. Okay, it just caught. All right, so just turn it and turn it and turn it until you feel resistance from the washer hitting the head. Okay, so there it is, okay, right around there. Okay, and then we're gonna grab our ratchet again, switching it over to tightening mode, and we're just going to make sure we can turn this like a 1/2 a turn to 2/3 of a turn. All right, so let's start over here. Okay, so this is about a 1/4 turn, okay? Go back, okay? Here's another 1/4 turn, okay? A little bit more, and we can stop. And pull out the socket. Okay, that's it. Now, I like to do the spark plugs one by one instead of pulling all the ignition wires out and then taking all the spark plugs out at once. And that's because you don't want to get the ignition cords swapped out, okay? You don't want to get them confused, all right? So if you do it one by one, you know that once this new one has been installed, you'll just plug this back in. That way you won't mess up the firing order of your engine. Okay, continuing on the second one, okay? We're gonna unplug that cord, okay? And then we're going to stick our socket in there. You turn it counterclockwise. Okay. Pull the ratchet away and unscrew by hand. Okay, and voila, here it is. Spark plug number 2. All right, and here's the new spark plug again. Taking a new one out. All right. Removing the little protective cover. Right here, okay. Okay, it's in here. A little cylinder cover. Now, one time I forgot to take this off. The little paper cover here. That was not pretty, okay? I had to take the spark plug back out, okay? But anyway, pre-seat it into the 13/16 inch socket, okay, like so. Okay, and then install. All right, there is the hole, okay, where we're going to very carefully stick the spark plug into. All right, be careful not to hit anything by accident, okay? But very carefully extend the spark plug into there, and by hand turn it until it catches. All right, so we've got it there. It's catching. Make sure the spark plug is seated against the cylinder head. Okay, there it is. All right, and then put your ratchet back on. Make sure you are able to turn it like a quarter turn. Okay, and we do that 2 times. So here is 1/4 of a turn, right? Okay, come back around. Now this is half a turn. Okay, half a turn right here. And that should be it. That should be compressed. And once you're done with that, remember to put the ignition wire back on. Okay. Plugs in. You'll hear a little click. Okay, here's number 3. Repeat the process. Take the cord off. Make sure you set your ratchet into loosening mode. Get the socket over the spark plug, like so. Okay, and then turn. Okay, there it goes. Undo the spark plug, and then once it's loose enough, by hand, unscrew. Okay, carefully take out the spark plug. All right, here it is. Okay, beautiful. And very carefully seat this into the socket, like we've done 2 times already. Okay. Install by hand the spark plug, okay, into the head, okay, and carefully by hand turn it clockwise until the washer is seated, like we've done 2 times before. Okay, at this point we're seated, all right, and then take your ratchet, put it back on. All right, and then make sure you do a half a turn, okay? So that's 2 quarter turns. So here's 1 turn, or 1/4 turn. Okay, that's 1/4 turn, okay. Here's another quarter turn. And finally put the spark plug cord back on. Okay, and now let's do the last one, okay? Last one's a little bit back here. Okay, but the idea is the same. We'll just unplug the spark plug cord, all right? This was clipped on here, but it fell off. Okay, you can see it back there. Take our ratchet and socket, put it over the last spark plug over there. Okay, and once you feel it seated over that nut on the spark plug, turn counterclockwise. Okay, there, like that. Knocking it loose, and then you can untighten it this way. Once it's loose enough, just take the socket portion of your wrench and unscrew by hand, just like so, okay? And after a couple of turns, it should be coming out, and the spark plug with it. Okay, voila. And we're going to take out our 4th and final brand new NGK spark plug and seat that into the socket like so. okay, and install it. All right, and that's it. You've just finished installing brand new spark plugs into your 1992 Toyota Hilux pickup. All right, make sure you take it out for a test drive. If this video was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Kelvin's Garage.